2, 3, 4. There at the back, Mr. Afro. 5, and then we'll go with you, and then you. Thank you. Okay, you go. I'll give you a chance now. Okay, you the last one. Thank you.
Thank you. Molweni nonke, gama lam nguNtsiki Mazwai from the Moya podcast. So, Floyd, you did say that you don't want to be surrounded by yes men, right?
Shibambu exploring his options after MK Party demotion and a memorial service underway for the nearly 100 people killed during the Eastern Cape floods. Good afternoon, I'm Mungi Zikoko. Former MK Party Secretary General Floyd Shibambu has announced that he will be convening a committee to establish whether there is a need for him to form a new political party. The former Secretary General of the Umkhonto weSizwe Party made this announcement at a media briefing currently taking place in Midrand. The briefing was held to communicate Shibambu's next political steps following his recent demotion in the MK Party. EWN reporter Thabiso Koba is there and joins us live now. Thabiso, is Floyd starting a new political party?
So, Mongezi, at this stage, it is still unclear whether Shibambu is starting a new political party or not. What he says is that over the next few months, this committee will consult widely with traditional church and business leaders over the question, does South Africa need a new political party? Now, I should say, Mongezi, that Shibambu says if the answer is no, then he will stand down on this idea of forming a new political party. Now, in terms of his future at the MK Party, Shibambu says he's still a member of the MK Party and will never resign from the organization, basically placing the ball in the party's court over what action it should take over his decision to form or to establish a committee of forming a new political party. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, reporting live from Midrand.
Let's shift our focus to this now. A memorial service is underway for 92 people killed during this month's floods in the Eastern Cape. Heavy rains saw localized flooding, damage to infrastructure and the displacement of over 4,000 people. Since then, a long list of officials visited the area, including President Cyril Ramaphosa and members of his cabinet who have vowed to speed up rehousing efforts and assistance. Some of the speakers attending today's memorial have called for a consolidated effort by government to mitigate impact. Ntokozo Khumalo has more.
Today marks the Eastern Cape's Provincial Day of Mourning, where the lives of the victims of the recent floods are being honoured. 92 people died in the province during the torrential rainfall, with more than 4,000 people displaced. Deputy Mayor Thandekile Sabisa is among the dignitaries present at the memorial service. He says the province stands in solidarity with all the families.
The floods that visited i-OR Tambo,
the floods have destroyed the homes of people. They've destroyed living things. The most painful thing is that these floods claimed the lives of our loved ones. This incident has hit us very hard as the people in OR Tambo.
As commemoration continues, search and rescue efforts are still underway. Ntokozo Khumalo, Eyewitness News.
The murder case of slain ANC politician Cindy Somagaqa has been set down to start trial in October this year. New indictments were served on the 2 remaining accused in the matter this morning. Now the indictments are as a result of the 4th accused, Sibusiso Ngengwa, pleading guilty in the case, implicating the other accused in the matter. The matter returned to the Pietermaritzburg High Court this morning. Ntantla Mabaso was there.
During the brief proceedings in the matter against the men accused of Magaqa's murder, the state presented its new indictment in court. Initially, the state was set to prosecute 4 men for Magaqa's murder, but one of them, Mlungisi Ngalane, was declared unfit to stand trial and was admitted to a mental institution, while Sibusiso Ngengwa pleaded guilty and implicated the other accused. The state says it's ready to prosecute the remaining 2 accused, former police officer Sibonelo Myeza and businessman Mbulelo Mpofana. Prosecutor Advocate Elvis Cweka.
Since accused number 4 has been separated in this matter, by consent we have agreed that this matter may be postponed for a trial on the next session, the other session which will be starting from the 6th of October up until the 30th of October.
Witnesses, including police and ballistic experts, will take the stand in the trial. Ntlantla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
In the Western Cape, housing activists Ndifunukwazi have joined about 60 occupants protesting the Public Works Department's evictions at a Downing Street building. Now, occupants of Irene Grootboom House in District 6 braved rainy conditions outside the Western Cape High Court today to challenge being booted from the site. Ndifunukwazi says its lawyers will oppose the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure's application for the eviction of about 40 families from Irene Grootboom House. Speaking to the occupants outside the Western Cape High Court, attorney for the housing activist Caitlin Turrock says the Public Works Department has a very poor case for eviction.
The case that they've made, and which we've spoken about before, is procedurally defective. It's a really bad case. They don't meet any of the requirements they're supposed to meet to get what the order that they're asking for.
Now, the department confirmed its lawyers are applying for an urgent eviction order because the building is illegally occupied and not safe to live in. And the Royal College of Physicians in the UK says air pollution is expected to kill around 30,000 people this year alone. The report stipulates that dirty air is killing more than 500 people a week, with health harm to almost every organ in the body caused by air pollution. It also highlights studies providing new information about significant dangers of toxic air, including fetal development and risk of cancer, heart disease, mental health conditions and dementia. Experts are urging the government to recognize air pollution as a key public health issue. Gold is trading at $3,374.65 an ounce. The rand is at 18.05 to the dollar, 24.25 to the pound, 20.71 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $77.04 a barrel.
And in the traffic in Pulse-Off, we've got an accident along Rivonia Road, southbound near the N1. It's causing delays. Please be on the lookout there. There's also queuing traffic along the N3 North in the Bedford View area between Van Buren Road and the Kilulis interchange.
It's a fine day in Gauteng today. Temperatures will peak at highs of between 21 and 22 degrees. Now, the top story in EWN this hour, former MK Party Secretary General Floyd Shibambu has announced that he will be convening a committee to establish whether there is a need for him to form a new political party.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Your stories,
your questions.
702 listens. You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Minutes after 1 o'clock. Welcome to 702 Afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja, on this Thursday, the 19th of June. Yes, a lot is going on politically, but even bigger and more important for us at 702 Afternoons, it's a youth takeover Thursday, and we have a young somebody who is joining us and is going to get the opportunity to do the news for the very first time live on air. And if you don't know, this is really part of our initiative as a team and as 702 to give opportunities where there are so few in talk radio in the different roles. We've already had our sports presenter, our traffic presenter, and today we are having our news reader, and we'll get to meet her in a moment. But coming up in the show, we will then have Belief Matters. What does a coin represent in traditional ceremonies? And I think that's an interesting one because many people speak about finding coins and picking them up. So we'll be joined by Siyabonga Mkhize, African spiritual advisor, for that. And then the second hour of the show, we have Wendy Nola coming through in our consumer rights feature, Nola Knows. And we will talk about explaining or share rather why one should have top-up or shortfall insurance and what it's all about. And then, of course, we open up the lines for all of your consumer rights issues. Get in touch with us, 011-8830702, SMS us, 31702, tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702, using the hashtag 702 Afternoons. and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702 Afternoons
With Relebogile Mabotja
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Afternoons is having their very third edition of their Youth Takeover Thursdays. And I am so excited. And I've seen all of the amazing feedback from so many of you as our listeners. I hope you keep the energy alive. It is getting a lot more serious in terms of the roles, because with EWN and being a news reader, there are so many intricacies and rules around it, as opposed to a role like myself as a host. Yes, there's some rules, but I have a lot more leeway with the things I can do. So we are doing this. I'm so excited. 702 Afternoons at 702.co.za. To all the young people that are still submitting, we see you. And if you did not get the opportunity, listen in, because we're going to have a bit of a masterclass and school in session around being a news reader. So firstly, I'd like to introduce to all of you Lungile Msipa, who is 21 years old. Welcome to 702 Afternoons. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing so amazing. Obviously nervous, but
yes.
I'm here for it.
You are here for it. I love it. Her mentor for the day is Mongezi Koko.
Well, I'm also nervous.
The mentors do get nervous, I think, because you also realize the gravity of what it means and how impressionable it is for a young person. But I also brought into this first part of the conversation Tsidi Madia, who is a go-to for me when it comes to politics, news, current affairs. She's a wealth of knowledge, but she also has an interesting career. And I thought it would be so great to have her join us as we are making this a learning opportunity, not just for you, but also for all of the listeners. Now, before we get into it, the way it's going to work is that Lungile is going to get an opportunity to read the news bulletin at past. We in Radio Talk refer to it as bottom of the hour, and top of the hour would be 2 o'clock. So we'll keep 2 o'clock with Mongezi doing those. And then what we do is at the past mark, you are completely on your own. Do not worry. I will remind all of the listeners and give the disclaimer. This is for training purposes. If there's anything that is missed or needs to be rectified, Mongezi will be here in studio to ensure that all of you as the listeners are kept informed as you should be. But I'm going to kick off with Tsidi, my dear. Thank you for letting me hijack you from the catering.
You literally hijacked me.
I literally
You literally hijacked me.
And the reason that I hijacked you and what made me say I need Tsidi here is because of the breaking news with Floyd Shivambu, right? And our conversation around what makes a news reader. I'm not a trained journalist, and I need to emphasize this because people think radio hosts are all journalists. All my colleagues are trained journalists. I think I'm the only one who is not.
Oh yeah, wait, let me think. Mandy, Clement, yeah.
Yes, Bongani, Stephen.
Oh
yes.
my goodness, yeah.
I'm the one who's not a trained journalist, which I kind of get away with a lot more because of that. However, I did have a stint as a newsreader, award-winning, thank you very much, SA Radio Awards. But I have to preface with the fact that when I got asked to do the news reading role, my reference was always Prime Media, and I always saw the news people writing their own things. At the SABC, they have their own news department, so you really are just a news reader. But Tsidi Madia, beyond the news reading role, which will come to Mongezi around, what are some of the things you think are important for any kind of news reader or news anchor to be aware of? We have these breaking news, and as much as they are preparing a bulletin, there are other tricks that one needs to have up their sleeve.
Absolutely. I don't think it's about a voice. I'm very much against that school of thought, because I think it's a different conversation about what's happened in the industry where people have picked voices over, I think, the talent and the skills.
What do you mean by voices?
Skills.
As in how you sound?
How you sound.
Oh, like you have a beautiful voice or the accent?
We've seen an influx of really beautiful voices and accents. And even when you look at TV news of looks as opposed to the grit and the requirements and the skills that come with it, you're still a journalist.
Yes.
You're not just an anchor. You're a journalist. You're an extension of what's happening. I expect a news reader to be somebody who has the writing skills. You must be able to check copy yourself and understand it. You must be able to understand what's happening in the world before your shift starts. But to also be able to keep up with the world during your shift, you must be able to see changing tides and make editorial decisions that speak to that. So you must be able to steer the ship, and not just yourself. You steer yourself, what you're doing, and you steer journalists simultaneously. It's a lot of work. I think that there's a change in the industry around news anchors. But when I was starting off, what you did see was those were usually the most senior people in the room. And because they've also understood what you go through. I mean, you've got Mongezi here. Mongezi is young, sure. But Mongezi understands field work. Nothing is worse for me, like you.
Yes.
Who are just anchoring. And you don't know what it's like to actually put together a story. What it entails to be on the field, to put together 1 + 1 is 2. So that's what I want. I want anchors who have context and understand what it takes. That story that you're bring to life. What did it take to bring to life? Because it also allows you to also immerse yourself in it. And it gives you the authority you require for people who are listening to you to understand the emphasis of what you're saying.
One of the things that I loved, which I think was such great advice, was when I started in radio. And obviously I'm like, but I'm not a journalist. I'm not going to know. And because I was doing your graveyard shifts, the advice I was given was, you just need to know everything about everything. And I said to myself, what does that even mean? Know everything about everything. And the way I took it was, okay, keep abreast of things. I'm not going to be an expert. Some things I'll automatically, naturally gravitate towards. But the ones where I'm not, I comfortably say I don't know. So, Tsidi, from your perspective, when you don't know and you're called into studio like this, and I'm trying to say, tell me about Floyd Shivambu, and let's say you just got off a long meeting and you know nothing, but I'm bringing you in as the authority to speak on it, because newsreaders on my show, they don't interact as part of a team, but on your drive shows, they do, meaning that the host can field questions your way.
Absolutely. It's actually, it almost feels easy because I also host here at Prime Media from time to time. So I was on this morning. You say, I'm not sure what he said this afternoon. I think there's nothing wrong in being honest. I wasn't covering it. People ask me, for instance, with Floyd, Tida, are you going to Floyd? I was like, no, I'm on air. I'm doing Clement's show. So I'm not going to be there. But I'll tell you, I understand the context of what's going to happen, and I'll give you the background. So you must have the idea of the subject matter. You said have an awareness. Tibinki, you must have an idea of what's happening, because the direct and immediate question that you can't answer, you can talk about it based on the knowledge you have, and you can develop it further when more information comes to light and so on and so forth.
So, for example, in the case of Floyd, if, let's say, a lay person like me who has not gone into details, I literally, because I can see the screen, I can say, there is some kind of press conference happening with Floyd Shivambu, and we know there have been issues between himself and the MK party. Would be interesting to see. You know, I suspect he might be starting his own thing, but we wait to see. I can say that as a host, but even for you as a newsreader, Tsidi does it so well. I used you as the example, Tsidi, to say, you stick to the facts, but there is room to say, knowing that one. Yes.
Yeah, and also there's nothing, I also think that the rules are different. Relebogile can say, I don't know. It's much easier. When you're the anchor, you're the authority. So I don't know is not necessarily as acceptable from you as it is from her. But you work around it based on having an awareness of what the story was about before the story even happened. So going into Floyd, for example, you would know that he just got demoted as Secretary General. You would know that he's been under fire under Zuma. So you know that there's controversies around Floyd. Yes. And you say, well, his media alert yesterday said he'll speak on the state of the nation. This is what it would mean, but he can't leave out his own problems. So you use context. You got to read. You cannot be an anchor, a journalist, or anybody in the newsroom. And I'm not, actually don't care what role you play, even sports or traffic, you cannot be in a newsroom and not engage content. And where you work and outside of it, you've got to consume everything. Know, what do you say? Know everything.
Know everything about everything.
Yeah.
So, Lungile, now that we started with school, I'm not letting you go yet. My dear, please relax yourself. Lungile, from your side, why are you interested in being a newsreader?
Ooh, what a career.
Because you're a 21-year-old, and I don't know, Tsidi, if you find that many young people are not actually interested in the news in this format, because they sometimes prefer the social commentary of the news. And that's how they consume their news, is somebody giving a story time about what happened at the Diddy trial today.
It's glamorous.
Right?
There's so much glamour in the TikTok updates.
Yes.
Even what you see, when you see us, when you see her, it looks glamorous. The beauty of your experience today, and hopefully you take it forward, is you see that actually these things aren't done from the ether. A lot of work goes into those things. You know, there's an analyst who just joined the world of radio and called me one day and said, I didn't know it was this much work. I'm like, absolutely.
Listen.
It's a lot of work. It's very
Because you
deceiving.
can't even say the newsreaders only work 5 minutes in an hour. When they're not reading, they're writing, or they are all of those other things. But as a young person, you're 21 years old, why radio? And why news reading?
Okay, first of all, I love the news. I won't say that I always watch the news or always listen, but I do know that it's something that I love. I think when I was young, when I was in primary school, I used to see these ladies on TV. I love women empowerment, you know, and those ladies who seem like they've got it all together and they're presenting the news, and I was always fascinated by it. So there was a lady back home in Dalmas, in Mpumalanga, Tabang Masanabo. So she was a news presenter at ENCA.
Yes.
But then I always used to wonder, why does she sound like this? Like, I just want to listen to her more and more. And then I saw her on TV on ENCA for the first time, and I said, oh my God, I love what she's doing.
Yes.
But also when I said this, it wasn't a thing of, I want to do it. I think I was just very intimidated by it. I want to do it, but I'm not sure. Me, you know?
Yes.
But then in high school, I also used to watch Dumelo, who was a news presenter at ENCA.
Yes.
And I just love this a lot. And, you know, I think it's very important to be informed. I do pageants as well, beauty pageants. So,
wow.
Yes.
Girl, you must go in there as the news reading pageant girl. I love that.
Yes, so we are taught to be informed about what's happening in the country
Yes.
and internationally as well. And I said, maybe let me not just consume news, let me report the news. I think
Yes.
people need to know what is happening in the country and internationally. So I just thought to myself, I can actually be a good news presenter. But people also had an influence. People always used to tell me that you are such a good, you can be a good news presenter. You can be
Yes.
but then I thought to myself, okay, I might consider that, but now I find out that it's not just about the voice, honey. There's a lot more that goes into that. And yesterday I learned the difference between a news anchor and a news reporter.
Yes.
So I'm fascinated by that. But so I just love reporting. I love for people to be informed. So
Yes.
that's why I want to be the one who's informing them.
So before we went on air, I told you that I'm throwing you in the deep end today, right? That you're not doing the top of the hour, which is 2:00. You're doing the half past. Now, we're trying to give you as full of an experience as possible. There's the part of the reading of the news, which will require some sight reading at times. There's the part of the interviewing a reporter on the ground. There's the part of clipping sound. There are many parts, but we need to quickly take a break. And when we come back, let's see if our girl can swim.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
41% of boys who've been sexually abused reported they were sexually assaulted by a woman. Robin Wolfson Forster, we all think we know what the predator is going to look like, don't we?
We do. We are trained from childhood to suspect strangers of being perpetrators, but actually often perpetrators are people that we know well, although the perception is that they are mostly men. Perpetrators of sexual abuse of children can also be women.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
At Bright, we don't just provide business insurance, we insure your businesses.
Future success.
Because your business is so much more than desks and computers and equipment, which is why we use our specialist expertise to tailor solutions for each client differently to ensure what's really important. So insure your businesses.
Financial security, BT.
With Bright today, contact your broker or go to brightinsure.co.za to find out more. Bright, approach risk with purpose. Bright is a licensed insurer and authorized FSP.
Checkers XXL Savings is on with the XXL Jackpot competition. The more SA swipes, the bigger the prize. Plus, save on Bacoma Weet-Bix 900 grams or Cornflakes cereal 1 kg, any 2 for 99 Rand. And Twin Saver 2-ply toilet rolls 18 pack, buy 2 for 249 Rand. Remember, simply buy any 3 participating products. Swipe your extra savings card and get a scratch card to enter the competition. Deals valid until Sunday at Checkers.
Volksfest deals are back.
Get a free upgrade to the Polo Vivo Life when you buy a new Polo Vivo and pay 0% deposit. Get more features at no extra cost. Buy it now and only pay 3 months later. Offer valid only through Volkswagen Financial Services. Looking for something sportier? The stylish T-Cross is yours from just 399,900 Rand. These Volksfest deals won't last. Visit your nearest dealer today or visit vw.co.za.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please. Quiet, please.
With 50% off on limited Tennistown tickets, no wonder Amex card members are so thrilled. Enjoy a world-class tennis experience at Monte Casino between 11 and 13 July 2025. Buy your tickets for Amex Tennistown online today at howler.co.za for the Championships Wimbledon experience with the Mzansi advantage. Tennis is better with Amex.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja.
25 minutes after 1 o'clock, and we have our young budding newsreader Lungile Msipa that is preparing to go live at 1:30. Remember, to all of you that are listening, we are creating the space for growth and learning. Be gentle, and also let's give space. A 21-year-old getting to go live on commercial radio for the first time in her life, and we are so excited for that. So we've had Sidi Madia with us in studio, Mongezi Koko, who is the newsreader and mentor of the day, but Sidi being a senior in the EWN a newsroom.
As you can just call me an editor.
Okay.
That's about as senior as it gets.
You know what's wild?
That's actually my job.
I always forget the titles in the newsroom.
Right,
so
right.
when I'm not sure, I just make it. That's what I do. So what we're going to do now, we are going to throw you a little bit in the deep end. Mongezi has shown you what to read, how to sign out, and how to come in. Are there any questions before you do it for reals at 1:30?
Is there any way I need to say my name?
Well, this is a good question because there's Mongezi Koko. What do you say, Tidi?
I don't anchor, so I say I don't read news.
I can mimic it. It's actually Sidi Madia, Eyewitness News.
Oh,
not true.
It is.
Okay, I would say Sidi Madia, Eyewitness News. Does that sound more accurate?
No, both of y'all are wrong.
So you get to decide how you want to sign out, because I think you find your own flavor, because you also have Alpha, Ramushwana.
Which I find with
you know, Alpha.
But people have their own flavor. You know, just quickly, Masa Kekana used to work here. Mm-hmm. And Masa would say, Masa
Where did she go?
Guys, the thing is, it becomes your. So every time I hear Alpha, we are ready in studio to go Alpha, Ramoshwana. All right, very quickly. This is your first test. Deep breath in. We got your back. What if somebody says, I just came out of a cave and I don't know anything? What are the top 3 news stories you'd say they need to be aware of today?
I would say the white Afrikaners in America.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say obviously Floyd Shivambu.
Yes.
The story. And then I would also say the killings of women and children in South Africa right now.
Okay, what was the reason that you selected those 3?
Because they are known and I am aware of them.
Okay, that's a good answer. Mongezi, what are your thoughts on the selections?
Look, I'm very happy with it because she touches on different beats that we cover within the newsroom. She gave us an international story, she was able to give us a political story, and then she also gave it to a very pertinent story that we're seeing. GBVF is a huge and significant story that's unfolding in SA, so I think she really encapsulates what's going on in the world of news.
Sidi, is there a world of news story that you think should have made the list, and why?
The Minister of Higher Education. Mm-hmm. We set the tone. You are anchoring for us now. You're one of us today. We've led that story and the latest development on it. So I would have wanted you to also have that. But I agree with Mongezi. You've touched on different areas that are all very important that people need to know about. Yeah.
I would also add, I have heard news readers, also sometimes news can get depressing where at the end they sort of go and enlighten
and finally.
news and finally Beyonce has announced her 17th pregnancy.
Oh my word.
You know, whatever it is. So you
something
do,
lighter.
Yes.
Shades. Your bulletin must have shades. Yeah.
All right. Are you ready, girl? Because your mentor and Sidi Madia are here. And to all of you that are listening, these are real news she will be reading. Mongezi will be standing by to assist with any clarifications or corrections. But ladies and gentlemen, it's 1:30. Time for your latest in Eyewitness News headlines with our very first Youth Takeover Thursday's newsreader, Lungile Msipa. Keep in mind, this is her first time and this is for training purposes, but the news are real. What's happening?
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. Former MK Party Secretary General Floyd Shibambo has announced that he will be convening a committee to establish whether there is a need for him to form a new political party. The former Secretary General of the Umkhonto weSizwe Party made this announcement at a media briefing currently taking place in Midrand. The briefing was held to communicate Shibambo's next political steps following his recent demotion in the MK Party. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana is of the view that political parties should be wholly funded from the national fiscus and not have to accept private donations. Speaking to the Independent Electoral Commission's Political Funding Conference in Durban today, Godongwana said it's unacceptable that some political parties don't submit annual audited financial statements. Godongwana's own political party, the ANC, among those fined by the Electoral Court last year for falling foul of the law in this regard. And France has inched closer to defining rape as a lack of consent. This follows a vote by the French Senate to redefine sexual assault, including rape, as any non-consensual act. The vote comes several months after a court in the country found Dominique Petical guilty of drugging his wife, Giselle, so strangers could rape her. While the law could be seen as a win, some political opponents believe this will change the lead investigators to focus excessively on the victim's behavior. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 2 or as it happens. I am
EWN Traffic.
Listen.
Take
a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
Oh my God.
The traffic. What's happening on our roads?
Well, at this particular moment, Relebogile, we've got some delays along the N3 North approaching the Kiluli's interchange. That's in the Bedfordview area, obviously due to roadworks that were taking place earlier just as you approach the Kiluli's turn off. If you're traveling on the N12 East, an accident has been reported. It's right near Edenville Road. It's already causing some issues there. Please be on the lookout. Traveling towards Harton, we've got delays on the M1 North. This is between Empire Road and Harton Drive, the Kilani Bend. So that stretch is heavily backed up. Please be on the lookout there and drive with care. We'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
702 is heading to Freedom Park this Saturday, the 21st of June, and you are invited. Join us for a special broadcast with Gugu Mhlungu and Kenny Maestri as they take in the beauty, the views, and the stories of Freedom Park. It's the perfect family outing ahead of this year's 702 Walk the Talk, happening on Saturday, the 27th of July. To join Weekend Breakfast with Gugu Mhlungu and 702 Music with Kenny Maestri, email us at contact@702.co.za to reserve your spot. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult day 3731. I'm really struggling to explain my parents to my therapist. Might send him to live with them so he can see for himself. What if he ends up in therapy too? Wait, what if they love him more than me?
Finally learning about mental health. Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's convenient and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our new Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
It's a tough day for Mark. Tight deadlines and challenges everywhere.
But Mark can rest easy, because when he bought his Hino 700 2845 truck tractor, he received a complimentary service plan covering up to 210,000 kilometers for short haul and up to 280,000 kilometers for long haul. Nice one, Mark. Visit your dealer today to find out more about this limited time offer. Hino, all the way. T's and C's apply.
For over 40 years, we've stood with the artists, championing the arts in all their forms. Now we unveil the next chapter, the Standard Bank Art Lab, a new gallery space where bold ideas take center stage. Opening with a celebration of tapestry, because like these woven masterpieces, the arts are woven into who we are. Step inside, let the art move you, grow you. Standard Bank, proud lead B20 sponsor. Authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Your voice.
Your life.
Your afternoon radio.
On 702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabotja.
25 minutes to 2 o'clock, and we are continuing with our Youth Thursday Takeover Thursday, rather, on 702 Afternoons. We're joined by Lungile Msipa, who is basically getting her first time at doing a news bulletin as a news reader. She has been mentored throughout the morning by Mongezi Gogo, and we also have Tidi Madia, who I hijacked into studio to also just impart some knowledge. 011 883 702, the WhatsApp line, 072 702 1702. Sebastian from Eldorado Park, what's up?
Again, Lebo, again, you guys are bringing out the best in South Africa. The Lungi is a natural. Oh, it's the third week now, and I just can't believe it. You guys are bringing out Alpha, Ramaswana, and Mongezi. Please, your jobs, guys. You must start looking. You must start looking somewhere else. Please, Tiri Madia, as a please, you give this lady a chance, man. She is brilliant, and she must keep it up. This is for her. Her voice, even though she fumbles a little bit, but she catches up so nicely. She finds her feet. I was so impressed.
Oh, woman, I love it.
Yes,
Sebastian,
again.
thank you so much just for showing so much love. Let's play some voice notes, because afterwards, after school is after school.
Wow, to that young lady that read the news. Well done. That was so professional. And congrats to Relebogile and all the others that helped her. I think she's on the right path for a new career. Well done. Bye.
Got delays on the M1.
Good day, Relebogile. Wow. Nice. Look, to your guest there, the trainee. Look, I just want to give you this one advice. Pay more attention on listening to EWN at large, right? Because bottom of the hour and top of the hour, as Relebogile was saying, it's news bulletins. And look, practice makes perfect. If I was to score you were at 98%. It's only 2% whereby it's normal. So overall, you got the total 100%. Just the 2% that I'm referring about, that it does really happen to everybody else. I'm sure you have mentioned you have picked it up from the sports reader as well. For a moment or once or twice, she did start as well. It's just normal. It's Pule from Centuria.
Hi, Relebogile team. Oh my gosh, the lady is a natural. She started off nicely, and then yes, some nerves there, and then she could just say I'm sorry, then or pardon or something, but perfect for a first time. The voice, the posture, the current. Woo! I'm excited. I was so nervous for her, but she aced it. Go girl!
How are you feeling hearing all that feedback?
Oh my God, I'm about to cry.
It's overwhelming.
Yes. Because I also thought, oh my God, I fumbled a lot. But thank you for the great feedback.
All right, so let's go to school. I'm going to start with Mongezi. Feedback?
Well, look, I think it was great. It was great. There's a lot to work on, but there's also a lot to work with.
Oh, yes.
I found that in her delivery, particularly in the beginning, she started off really strong. She was confident in thanking the presenter who crossed to her. And then I think she delivered the names eloquently. So, like Tsidi was saying while we were off air for a bit, was that the pronunciation of Enoch Godongwana's name is one that a lot of
Trips
people stumble
all
over.
of us, yes.
So the fact that she was able to go through that name, and I think the only thing that threw you off was the international story with the French names and the French pronunciations. But that's something above us. However, I really do think that you did formidably well. I mean, to read news for the first time on commercial on the biggest talk station in the country is pretty insane. And to do it so confidently.
Station of the year.
And station of the year, man.
Okay. Tsidi, my dear.
I think I'm on board with a lot of what Mongezi is saying. I really was impressed with the way you handled Enoch Godongwana's name. It does throw people off. And when it did for a second, you came back. Because they always say you must come back. It's important. Recovery is really important. But I'd also say to use watch pace, which is really weird coming from me because I speak so quick, so fast. But there is power in slightly slowing down and allowing people to take in what you're saying. You're the authority, you're an anchor. For me, there's a certain kind of decorum that comes with who you are versus who we are. And so if you slow down a little bit and allow people to take you in a little bit more, there'll be so much more impact. But I do agree that, I love the way Mungi said that there's a lot to work with. And that's key. So you've got something. You definitely do.
I'm so going to steal that line because it's so powerful.
Absolutely.
In the
Mongezi,
sense,
spot
yes, powerful. So my advice to you is going to be the following. So do you see how during the ad break I was given a piece of paper? Did you see me read it before I read it on air?
I'm not sure.
I didn't.
Okay.
So the point I'm trying to share with you is one of the things that will help you in the work that you do is increasing your reading speed. So there are tricks that you get taught about how to almost read ahead in your mind before it comes out your mouth.
Your eyes, yeah.
Yes. And there's also another trick. For example, let's say a breaking news story happens and you already the jingle is playing where you scan, you almost read down the middle to get a sense of what it's about. So my tip to you is improve on the reading. I'm at a sight reading level where I do my live reads as if it's a recorded voiceover that I practiced. But that comes from years of practicing. And some of my live reads have words like Tchaikovsky, and then you're going to Godongwana, to Pascal, and your brain has to be ready to switch, because if you're thinking in Setswana, you will read certain words differently. So that's my advice to you, because we are going to give you an opportunity to go to practice for your 2:30 headlines. We're not throwing you fully in the deep end. And so that all the listeners are aware, we are going to post a video. She's also operating the system herself. So it's not pieces of paper. It is a system where she's scrolling. There is multitasking involved. There are 4 people in studio staring at her, 6 cameras. So it is a lot to take in. And so many of the messages, there are people here saying we're lying to them. We brought a professional in. And we are acting like we are empowering. So Tsidi, as your final words, because she will do another one at 2:30. And this time, you're on your own, from the writing to the speaking. And what we will do is Mongezi will do his own and you are on your own. What you write, yes, you are on your own, because we are giving you the chance to experience it all. So when you come back, you must also be prepared after you've done that to then be part of the team, like we're on a drive show. So
you're the authority, remember?
Yes.
You're the authority.
So we're going to be having Wendy Nola in our consumer rights feature, which means if we're talking and you are in the room as the drive teams have their team there, Wendy might say something that's like, there was a news article that said X, Y, and Z about the price of blah, blah, blah. With you in the room, I can say, well, what do you think? Or what was the last thing you read? So it could be knowledge, but it also could just be opinion of like, oh my gosh, I remember being in a car accident. Lungile, have you been in a car accident? How did you deal with your insurance? So you're moving that fine balance of being a news person and being a news personality. Did I explain that correctly?
Yes, you did, ma'am.
Okay, so you've got a ton of people upstairs that are going to help you with some tricks. The part about the reading being fast is if there were a breaking story in the middle of you reading the bulletin and one of your colleagues came running down and gave you a piece of paper, in the same way that I've got the news bulletin from before and I just get that sight reading ability to be able to say, former MK Party Secretary General Floyd Shivambu has announced that he will be convening a committee to establish whether there is a need for him to form a new political party. And if you notice where I took my breaths, I was giving myself room to see what's coming next. Because I want to say committee and not committee. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you've got a lot of homework. Any questions of Tsidi before she goes?
No, I just struggled a lot with multitasking,
Yes.
especially the mouse.
You know, no, don't. She mustn't beat herself up about it because everything is practice, eh? We all learn. I mean, I also work with Abel here. And I said to Abel, I hang up phones. Sometimes when I'm speaking on the microphone and I'm trying to pick up a phone call,
He
I
hangs
hang
up.
No, not him. I hang up. Like, it's very difficult to multitask, but it's something that you get used to. You're sitting next to somebody who does it regularly as well. It's practice. That issue of many moving parts in one go, because also the more you do it, sometimes you'll have people in your ear when you're doing something else, and it mustn't show to your audience. It mustn't sound like somebody's talking to you. You must still be able to do,
And you see how you have direct eye line to the screen. So the additional layer of multitasking is when you come into the studio, you take a peek because they will at any given moment share if there are breaking news. So even if you don't know the information yet, you can say,
I see a breaking news.
Yes, a breaking news on
Something's
Newsroom
going on.
Africa. Stay tuned. EWN will be bringing you more because you want to reassure the listeners they don't have to leave the station to hear what the news is about. You're telling them, I see the breaking news. I'm going to come back and give you more information. It's a lot, I know. Take a deep breath. Drink some rooibos tea. I will see you later. Tsidi, my dear, thank you so much for your time. Mongezi Gogo. Please practice the signing out and Abel will give you the opportunity to sign your name out properly. Agir Abel. Thank you. Thank you.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons.
3 to 6.
Government fleets, I mean, I'm just trying to think of people who buy fuel in bulk, create their own dispensing operations so that people don't have to go to regular forecourts. Any feedback from government departments? Do you think this is a problem government needs to look a little bit closer to home on?
I don't think the government fleet will be targeted because remember the competition to supply government is at the tendering point. So once you have tendered, usually they will look for reputable companies. Most of the people who are tendering.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
With Youth Employment Service, yes, your business doesn't just tick boxes. You shift real lives. You build real futures. Communities feel it, and so does your business. That multiply effect is real. It's measurable, and it starts with you. Yes has created over 188,000 full-time quality work experiences. When you hire youth, you multiply that impact. Create youth jobs and help the youth become active in the economy and your business. Make this Youth Month count. One job, countless futures. Visit 4youth.co.za. That's yesforyouth.co.za and join today.
Kickstart your small business with a starter bundle from Nedbank. Enjoy free transactions for 6 months, including free cash deposits and withdrawals and a free debit card with easy digital access and a dedicated banker to guide you along every step of the way. Open a Nedbank starter bundle with SA's best bank for SMEs. Apply on the Money app today. Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and credit provider. T's and C's apply.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
702.
Belief matters.
Exploring culture, traditions, religion,
and the beliefs that shape our world.
10 minutes to 2 o'clock in our Belief Matters feature for today. We're talking about what coins, as in monetary coins, represent in traditional ceremonies. And we're joined by African spiritual advisor Siyabonga Mkhize. And we take your calls, Mkhize rather, on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Sia, how are you doing?
I'm all right yourself. How are you doing this afternoon?
I am doing well, and I'm so excited for this discussion because I too am extremely curious about what coins represent in traditional ceremonies. But before we get to the traditional ceremonies, is there a belief system around coins in African spirituality that keep appearing? So, you get some people who say, I keep finding 10-cent coins or old 5-cent coins and things like that. Is there a meaning there?
Yes, there is, more particularly what color of coin, because brown coins or your 5-cent, your 10-cent, 50-cent are typically attributed to the loss or the lack of money and prosperity and lack attached to money. So if you're having dreams where you are opening up your wallet in your pocket and you're seeing brown coins, then kunenking, or there is a problem or a spiritual blockage or issue that needs to be resolved when it comes to your financial situation. What you want to be doing is you want to see silver coins. You want to be receiving money, being given money, never in a position where money is being taken from you or you are giving it to someone. But that money should be silver. You want to be receiving, you want to be finding silver money. Imali paper or note money, that's also perfectly fine. But silver money is the most important one. And in fact, when you're looking to unblock spiritual blockages that are around money, you can actually steam with 2 1-rand coins, 2 2-rand coins, or 2 5-rand coins.
Steam
and
how?
That actually helps.
Like you put the coins in a bowl of hot water?
Yes, correct. So what most people do when they steam, other people heat up some rocks and then they put rocks into the bucket and then the water begins to boil. Other people will use those one-plate stoves, right? And then they'll cover themselves with a light sheet. But in the actual bucket, when you're using umuti, iswasho, amafuta, oils, seawater, whatever you're using, and if you're trying to address your financial blockage, or you're trying to address imali engahlali, or money that is just going away quickly, putting in 2 1-rand coins or 2 2-rand coins or 2 5-rand coins is telling your ancestors, hey, this is where my problem resides. This is the blockage that I'm trying to actually unlock. So if you're waking up with a dream where someone's taking silver money away from you, or you're giving away silver money, even if you just have those 2 coins and plain water, you are immediately addressing the problem that your ancestors are letting you know is there.
Sure. Okay, so now when we look at traditional ceremonies, what do the coins represent?
So in a traditional ceremony aspect, we are offering something to Abadala. We are saying, here is umnikelo. So the same way at the church, right, we give an offering, okay, when they do the offering, right, and you give of what you have or you tithe, right? The same thing happens when it comes to African spirituality, and that we give financially of something to Idlos. That's the first reason. The second reason is, regardless of whatever ritual you are doing, the foundation, or rather the thing that we want most, is financial success for this particular individual. We want inhlanhla for this particular individual in whatever you're doing, whether it be a coming of age ceremony, whether it be an introduction to Idlozi. At the end of the day, we also want Idlozi to make sure, forty of this particular individual, the luck and prosperity of this individual is always bright and prosperous. So that's the second reason why it's so important. That's why we use silver coin specifically, not just any other coin. Even if it's of a different currency, then that's also fine. But the coin must be silver.
So a question around what you said around luck, ne? If a person were to say, why would you need luck if you know your ancestors are there to guide you, and you also have people who believe in their ancestors but also believe in God? Why would luck be an important part of an equation like that?
Perhaps luck is the wrong word to use, but probability is probably the more accurate word to use. You want to increase the likelihood or the probability of your CV being seen. You want to increase the likelihood probability of your tender application being tabled. The reality is, as hard as you can work like a slave, but you need a degree of luck. You need, they always talk about right time, right place.
Yes.
Right? So we are encouraging Idlozi to put us at the right time and the right place. There are many successful people who may be very competent at what they do, but because they were at the right time, at the right place, they managed to be successful. So we are increasing the probability or the likelihood of you being at the right time and the right place. That's the first reason. Second thing, why you need luck. You need people, and a friend of mine gave it a term. It's destiny finders, or people that align you towards your destiny. Idlozi or your ancestors can bring the right people into your life to catapult you forward. Even though you are competent and hardworking, you need people in certain rooms to speak for you without your absence there. People need to be speaking in certain rooms, saying your name for certain things to happen. Those are the individuals that God and ancestors bring into your life, and they align you with them. Even if it's a temporary 6-month or a 12-month thing, that's fine. That's why not every relationship, even if it ends, should be lamented, right? You should never... Yeah, sorry?
And I'm with you completely. I think when you use the word alignment, it's all, I think it is more accurate than luck, because luck almost feels like it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, it could just come upon you, right? As opposed to aligning you with the best possible version of what could be happening in your life. But we're going to have to leave it there, Siyabonga. And I so appreciate, I had no idea you could steam coins. I had no idea. But what I can tell you is I definitely do believe in meanings and no coincidences. And this is the African spiritual perspective. Maybe one of these days we'll look at the other belief systems and what coins represent there.
This week on Polytricking with Sidi Madia.
I'm joined in studio by Asha Surapin. Does the DA then concede? Because here's the other interesting thing about the budget for me. Fuel levy was a massive issue in the years for the DA. A zero-rated goods basket. Mm-hmm. They're gone.
For this year, yes.
Yeah, do you then sit there and go, oh, the things that we wanted had to be sacrificed? This is the painful bits of moving the needle, is that it?
It is painful, but the thing about coalition governments is that you can't get everything you want all of the time. For every 2 things the ANC gets, the DA must get 1 thing. That's what the voters wanted, and that's what they gave us, and that's how it must work in government.
Listen to the full episode on primemediaplus.com. Polytricking with Sidi Madia on EWN. In touch, in tune, and independent.
Google Workspace already boosts productivity for 80% of Google Workspace users. Now, with Gemini AI, you can drive even better business outcomes. 90% of users report significant time savings, and 95% report increased satisfaction with Gemini's AI-powered features, including document summaries, email drafts, and brainstorming tools. Imagine writing emails in seconds or analyzing complex data with ease. Contact DigiCloud Africa to start your free 30-day trial. info@digicloud.africa. When thinking Google Cloud, think DigiCloud Africa.
Hi, I'm Lewis Hamilton. Victory demands everything, but the journey is never solo.
My team carves the way, data and innovation are my compass. This is how today's champions are made.
Drive your success and trade like a champion. CFI, a global leading broker now in South Africa. Access over 15,000 instruments, advanced trading tools, 24/7 support, and superior trading services. Visit cfi.trade today. CFI Financial is an authorized financial services provider.
CFI, empower yourself.
Quiet, please.
The Wimbledon experience in Mzansi is back at Amex Tennis Town Monte Casino between 11 and 13 July 2025. Enjoy VIP hospitality, the ultimate big screen experience, and more than just strawberries and cream. Buy your tickets now using your Amex card on Howler and get 50% off on limited tickets. Amex Tennis Town, the Championships Wimbledon experience with the Mzansi advantage. Tennis is better with Amex.
In the next hour of the show, we will be having Wendy Nolan, our consumer rights feature. Nolan Knows. The lines will be open. It's 2 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Munki Zikoko. Floyd Shibambu says he is not resigning as a member of the Umkhonto weSizwe party despite his ambitions of forming his own political organization. Shibambu held a media briefing at Midrand today where he announced that he will be establishing a committee to look into whether there is a need for a new political party in the country. This move comes a few weeks after he was demoted as the MK party's Secretary General to an ordinary member. Tabiso Goba was there.
The MK party says Floyd Shibambu's demotion was as a result of his visit to the Church of Malawian fugitive Pastor Shepherd Bushiri. However, Shibambu says he was removed due to a fake intelligence report that claimed he wanted to overthrow the party's leader Jacob Zuma. Despite his troubles with the MK party, Shibambu says he remains a member.
If Umkhonto weSizwe believes that going to listen to the people violates the constitution, it will tell me that. I will not resign. I said I will never resign from Umkhonto weSizwe. And I still stick by the decision and the communication that I made that it was the best decision ever to join Umkhonto weSizwe.
Shibambu says he's not communicated his decision to look into forming a new political organization with the MK party. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News, Midrand.
Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana is of the view that political parties should be wholly funded from the national fiscus and not have to accept private donations. Speaking to the Independent Electoral Commission's Political Funding Conference in Durban today, Godongwana said it's unacceptable that some political parties don't submit annual audited financial statements. Godongwana's own political party, the ANC, was among those fined by the Electoral Court last year for falling foul of the law in this regard. Lindsay Dentlinger takes a look.
Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana has questioned whether the IEC is the appropriate body to keep political parties in check over their finances, saying it puts the institution at risk of accusations of bias and a lack of independence.
From the ANC, when they do it from us, we say they've been captured. When they do to another party, we said Ramaphosa sender.
He says the conference should consider the implications of political parties purely being funded by the state.
What is the optimal level of funding and what is the criteria for that? We complain in departments are inefficient. Should we fund political parties for inefficiencies as well?
Godongwana has also hinted that if revenue allows, more money could be set aside to fund next year's local government election, in addition to the 1.4 billion rand already allocated in this year's budget. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
Finance Minister, or rather, let's turn to this now. Action SA is calling for the suspension of National Prosecuting Authority head Shamila Batoy for the failure to successfully prosecute some high-profile cases. The party is picketing outside the Justice Department in Pretoria today to hand over a memorandum of demands, which includes that Minister Mamoloko Kubai begin the process of removing Batoy. The party has criticized the NPA for its handling of recent matters, including the rape case of Nigerian pastor Timothy Omotosho and the corruption cases of Moradi Cholota and former ANC MP Zizi Kodwa. Jabuli Lembata is there.
Action SA supporters are gathered outside the Justice Department head offices in Pretoria to hear party leader Herman Mashaba express his dissatisfaction with the performance of the NPA. He says this is because the institution is led by Advocate Shamila Batoy, who he says is incompetent and has caused dysfunction in the organization. The Justice Minister Mamoloko Kubai was, however, not available to receive the party's memorandum. Mashaba says Batoy's incompetence can't be justified.
It's a kind of an excuse. It's nonsense. It's unacceptable. She must not really treat us as South Africans like we're fools.
They gave the Justice Department 7 days to respond. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
And in the Western Cape, housing activists in Ndifuna Ukwazi have joined about 60 occupants protesting the Public Works Department's evictions at Darling Street buildings. Occupants of Irene Grootboom House in District 6 braved rainy conditions outside the Western Cape High Court today to challenge being booted from the site. Ndifuna Ukwazi says its lawyers will oppose the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure's application for the eviction of about 40 families from Irene Grootboom House. Speaking to the occupants outside the Western Cape High Court, attorney for housing activists Caitlin Turrock says the Public Works Department has a poor case for eviction.
The case that they've made and which we've spoken about before is procedurally defective. It's a really bad case. They don't meet any of the requirements they're supposed to meet to get what the order that they're asking for.
Now, the department confirmed its lawyers are applying for an urgent eviction order because the building is illegally occupied and not safe to live in. And in France, the country has inched closer to defining rape as a lack of consent. This follows a vote by the French Senate to redefine sexual assaults, including rape, as any non-consensual act. The vote comes several months after a court in Avignon found Dominique Pellico guilty of drugging his wife Giselle so strangers could assault her. While the law could be seen as a win, some political opponents believe the change will lead investigators to focus excessively on the victim's behavior. Consent-based rape law already exists in Sweden, Germany, Spain, and other European countries. Gold is trading at $3,372.07 an ounce. The rand is at 18.09 to the dollar, 24.30 to the pound, 20.76 to the euro. Brent oil is at $77.46 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident reported in Bramley on the M1 South. It happened after Greyston off-ramp. It's causing delays already. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North between Van Buren Road and the Kilulis interchange.
Now, the top story in Eyewitness News this hour, Floyd Shibambu says he is not resigning as a member of the Umkhonto weSizwe Party despite his ambitions of forming his own political organization.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. Entries to the 702 Walk the Talk are open. Go to primemediaplus.com to get your tickets today.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 2 o'clock, it is the second and final hour of 702 Afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. Do not worry, Lungile will be coming back as we continue with our Youth Takeover Thursday on 702 Afternoons, and she will be reading the news at 2:30. Not only is she reading the news bulletin and the headlines, she is also writing them herself. So we've thrown a few curveballs and I'm so excited for her, and all of your encouraging messages, keep them coming through. 21 years old and being on Station of the Year, getting to read the news. What an honor for not just her, but also for us to have the opportunity to create the space for her. Coming up this hour on the show, Wendy Nola, as we do on a Thursday in our consumer rights feature. Get in touch with us, 011 8830702, SMS us 31702, tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 Afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702.
Nola knows.
Time for our Thursday edition of Nola Knows with Wendy Nola. Give us a call, 011 8830702, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Wendy Nola, how are you doing? Happy Thursday.
Hello, Relebogile. I'm just great, thank you. How are you?
I am doing very well, and we're going to jump straight into it because we have our young person in the building, and we are so excited for her as we are building up to actually having a host that will get an opportunity to do the show. So, Wendy, next week you might not be interviewed by me. I just might be silent in the studio, chilling in the corner. I mean, we'll see how it goes.
That's fine. Keep it coming.
We will see how it
You
goes.
might have to give her some tips. Him or her some tips.
There we go.
Okay, so I thought I'd keep it quite simple this week because of that. So you will remember at the end of last week's show, we had a listener who called in and asked me what the difference between top-up insurance and shortfall insurance was, and I got a little bit flustered while I remember saying thinking aloud is not really great on live radio, but I promised to come back with a definitive answer, having researched it. And probably the reason why I was a little confused is that it's the one and the same thing, because my mind was searching for how it could be different. But I checked in with Crystal Coleman of AMI Underwriters and Short-Term Insurance Pro, and she said the terms are interchangeable, as is gap cover. So whether you call it gap cover or shortfall cover or top-up insurance, it's all the same thing. And essentially what it does is it bridges the gaps between what your comprehensive insurance policy will pay based on your car's market or retail value at the time, whatever your policy says, and the outstanding amount that you still owe to your bank if your car is stolen or written off. So especially if you've got a balloon payment, that's very easy to still owe the bank once you get the salvage for the car, or it's auctioned off at very little, or it's never recovered, whatever the case may be. You are very likely, if you've carved off 40% of the value of the finance deal, to worry about 5 or 6 years later. After the car is gone, you're still going to be left owing the bank. So if you've got a balloon payment, it's a really good idea to have that gap top-up shortfall insurance, whatever the particular insurer calls it. And also, if your car is depreciating quickly, you bought it fairly recently, or it's a couple of years old, and the value has dropped dramatically for whatever reason, you could very easily get caught short. No car, but still owing the bank, and that's really a terrible situation to be in. So, for example, about depreciating cars, Volvo models value have dropped significantly since the manufacturer announced a few months ago that it's reducing its dealership footprint in South Africa from 19 dealers to just 7. And We Buy Cars founder Faan van der Walt confirmed that to me just last week when I was querying why the value of his car had dropped dramatically from the on-paper assessment to the later one. And one of it wasn't only because of that, but one of the reasons he advanced was for the seemingly low valuation was because of the dealership footprint issue. So be on top of that. It's also good to be on top of which cars depreciate faster than others when you're looking to buy. But yeah, and as always with any form of insurance, make no assumptions about what's covered and what isn't and under what circumstances. Check the terms and conditions, especially the exclusions, and do a comparison before you settle on one. Don't just go for the cheapest one. And yeah, normally it is added in with your main policy, and it's not that big an amount as with medical insurance. The gap cover it's much smaller, and it really pays off when you need it, when you have that shortfall. So that's the story on that I promised to come back with.
Okay, and I'm glad that you've given us that feedback, because it's important for us to have some context, because I feel like, Wendy, a lot of our conversations are around insurance issues.
There are, and here's another one. A warning just in this morning from South Africa's biggest short-term insurer. Short-term insurance means your cars, your electronics, your personal items, your household or office contents. So Sanlam issued this warning this morning saying that South Africa is in the process of moving away from 2G and 3G cellular networks, with a full switch off targeted for the end of December 2027. So that is 2.5 years away, the final cut off. But put this in the box of don't need to worry about now, because the transition is underway in certain areas. And there are unintended consequences for policyholders, and there are two scenarios that sometimes raise. The one is the tracking devices that are installed in cars and in home alarm systems or business alarm systems. Many of those devices may still rely on the older 2G or 3G networks to transmit data. And as more cell phone towers supporting these networks are taken offline, and already quite a few have been, the risk is that you're not going to have the protection of those devices that you think you have. And of course, if the device isn't working at the time of a claim, your insurer will reject it. So I'm thinking here of, I know through the cases I've covered with a lot of tracking cases, some of the people with older cars put a tracking device in years ago. They're paying their 90 or 100 Rand every month faithfully, but that's very old technology. So what you need to do is phone your tracking company, ask them questions. Is it 2G or 3G technology? Okay, you probably moved out of your contract period a while ago. You want month-to-month cancel, and for the same price or very little more, you'll get the latest technology, and you won't be at risk of there being an incident and you're being told, sorry, there was actually no cover. And the same with alarm systems. The problem is, you don't think about this, not like a phone or something you're dealing with every day. It's installed and you forget about it. You're paying your premiums, but you need to make sure you've got the right technology. So don't put this problem off until the end of 2027. Make the calls now, and make sure you have the latest technology so that you're not caught short.
So
racing through this.
No problems. In terms of the network providers, do they now have a duty to keep communicating this message to their customers?
Yeah, sometimes says all the providers do have an obligation to do it, but ultimately, another way to do it as in to warn you or whatever, but ultimately your insurance contract is between you and the insurance company, right? So if it isn't done, if you don't have the right, if you have outdated technology in these systems and they reject the claim, it's on you. You're the one that will suffer the loss. So don't rely on anyone else to check for you. Be proactive, make the calls, and make sure that you have what you need to have so that you won't have a policy rejected because of, outdated technology. You should have made sure it was up to date.
All right, let's move on to the next one.
The third warning I wanted to share was, you'll remember a while ago, we spoke about the case of, first of all, the Truecaller issue. So a fraudster will phone, and I'm getting more and more of these, and they think it's their genuine bank or SAPS in some cases, or MultiChoice, or South African Airways, or whatever the case may be, because that's the name that comes up on the phone. And that's because fraudsters are abusing Truecaller and the like. So they will register their number on Truecaller as being a particular company so that it comes up, which is horrifyingly clever. So that's the first thing. So the complainant in the case that I've been dealing with in the last week or so, she got a call on her phone. It was identified as being from SAA. She was looking at airfares because she wanted to visit her son. And so the caller said, this is about you, like you've been chosen for a 20% discount on flights. Okay. And then social engineering happened. That's when they trick you into giving up information in return for something nice when you are thinking, you absolutely 100% totally believe, because the name came up on your phone, that you're dealing with the legitimate airline, bank, MultiChoice, whatever the case may be. And then he got her to switch to video call. I didn't deal with her directly. I dealt with her employer. But she definitely switched to video call. And that's how the fraudster got a selfie of her. And her app took it as if it was her selfie, because the fraudster was already accessing her banking app with her help. And the selfie of her face served as the facial biometric, just like a fingerprint or a pin. And into her bank account they went. And can you believe it? Not just took the money that was there, but all the premiums for policies, funeral policies, life policy that she'd already paid, they reversed on her app to get more money. I know, it's just... So I'm sorry if I sound like a stuck record to regular listeners, but I really feel very strongly that we need to talk about these latest scams over and over again, so that when it happens, people are like, oh yeah, now I heard about this somewhere. It doesn't matter where, but I'm not going further. So don't trust the name that pops up on your phone. It could be an abuse of these call identifying systems such as Truecaller, and never switch to video call or let them have any access to any image of you. A stranger, ultimately a stranger. You don't know who they are. Assume the worst, and just do not follow the instructions. People do it because they're after the prize, right? In this case, 20% off airfares, and you desperately want to visit someone or some place, and you're now making yourself vulnerable. So yeah, just to be aware of that. These fraudsters are so clever, and we need to keep our knowledge of latest scams up to date so that we don't put ourselves in the ranks of potential victim.
I am
we all
so
potential
shocked
victims, that we don't become victims. No, I know, it's horrible. I took it up with the bank. The bank won't give her money back because she compromised her security on the app.
And unfortunately, pleading ignorance is not going to do anything. But it's so weird because as you speak about the facial recognition, I have always found I never, ever answer video calls, be it FaceTime or WhatsApp, if that number's not in my, my phone book. If it's a random number video calling me, it just feels like the most invasive thing. And even then, there's certain people that I'm like, why are you video calling me? You don't know me like that.
Exactly. And the other work from homers out there will relate. I mean, I'm not camera ready a lot of the time, so there's a reason I work on radio. So yeah, I'm not willing to make that switch. We need to get very protective over our images and understand that our face is a gateway to many things that involve our finances these days. And so you be very careful about who you share your image with.
Okay, Wendy, I'm going to go straight into some of the questions that are coming from all of our listeners on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. One says, hi, Wendy and Relebogile. I don't know if my question is a related topic. I bought a kettle at a retail store and it stopped working. And when I returned it, as it has a 1-year warranty, the store manager told me that they offer a once-off exchange, meaning if it were to break again, I can't return it. Oh my goodness, is that a policy? Are you limited to the number of returns you can have?
Okay, so this is a two-part answer, because I don't know when the kettle was bought. So what everybody needs to understand, if nothing else that ever comes out of my mouth, whatever you buy, new or used, it has the protection of the government, the Consumer Protection Act, 6-month warranty from date of purchase or delivery, whatever comes last. And during that 6-month period, if something goes wrong, if there's some kind of defect that manifests, you have the right to choose the remedy. There is a bit of a but, and that is the store has the right to send it off for technical assessment to rule out user abuse, because not everything that goes wrong with our stuff is the manufacturer's fault. Sometimes it's our fault. But provided they can't prove that you actually, I don't know, dropped it from a great height or abused it in some other way, you have the right to choose the remedy, which is a repair, a refund, or a replacement, right? They cannot, in those first 6 months, force you to accept a repair, which many still do, and they rely on consumers not knowing their Consumer Protection Act rights, right? If for some reason you didn't know your rights and it went and they said, oh, let us repair it for you, as if they're being all magnanimous, and you say, okay, fine. And so, you don't have the use for 10 days, 3 weeks, whatever the case may be, and then you get it back, and then it breaks again. Within those 6 months, they don't then have the right to have another bite at the repaired cherry. They only get one chance during the CPA period, warranty period. So then you have to choose between a replacement or a refund. Okay, but our listener mentioned it has a 1-year warranty. So and that's the supplier's warranty, and it's voluntary from the 7th month onwards. They've got no say or control over the first 6 months. That belongs to a national government mandated warranty. But from month 7, they can impose whatever conditions they want to on their own voluntary policies. So that in that case, they would be within their rights to say, okay, for month 7, if it is after the first 6 months, we'll only exchange once. And if it breaks again, then we'll try and repair it, or whatever the case may be, or whatever they consider to be appropriate recourse to the customer up until that 1-year period from the time of sale. So I'm sorry to be a bit long-winded, but that's why I always say to people, I'm trying to be specific. I need to know, don't just say, I bought a kettle. Tell me when you bought the kettle, and then I can give you really targeted, specific advice.
Okay, another question or a comment rather says, Gap Cover is a well-known and exclusive product name used in healthcare. It is not short-term house or car linked. From Lepoy.
Okay, well, I got that from an insurance pro. As I say, I didn't just thumbsuck it. Yes. I sent her an email immediately after the show, and that's what she said. So I'm sorry if that's incorrect, but I think it doesn't. If it doesn't apply, well, it certainly is a name that could colloquially be used by people, just to say whether you're calling it gap or shortfall, or what was the other one? I can't even remember now.
It's gap, it's shortfall, and
top up.
Yes,
it all means that shortfall that you have between after your car is crashed or stolen, what your insurer pays you, you still can't replace the car, but that's when the top up or shortfall insurance applies. Okay, thank you for that. I think we all understand.
Okay, another question that we can get in before the news. One says, please ask Wendy whether a business has the right not to give you an immediate refund when they charged you for additional items you did not want, just because they do not hold cash on the premises, even though you have paid them with your card and they say they cannot reverse the amount on your card on their premises. Is that not a device thing? Because I've heard that at many places that refunds on your card, I think it's just physically or technically not possible.
You are too much of clever. Yes, that is it. She didn't say which card. Credit card, they can do a reversal, no problem. But according to the Payments Association of South Africa, refunds to debit cards should not be made. And if a store makes a mistake or a system doesn't realize it, you will get your money eventually, but it's got to jump through all sorts of payment systems hoops. And so, it's very complicated. So when a retailer tells you that they can't refund to a debit card, they are telling the truth, because it's really the Payments Association very strongly discourages it. But this business of not enough cash in our till is very sorry. Then they must make a plan.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're going to have enough. I don't know what the overcharge was, but that is very bad practice when you've made a mistake and you're now saying you're unable to correct it. You really need to jump through the hoops and find a way to correct your mistake and not leave your customer out of pocket.
I mean, I literally would be like, the boss must e-wallet me or something, because it's unacceptable.
Something, or run to the bank.
That I must be put out of pocket because of an error that you made.
Absolutely, 100% agree, as I'm sure would all reasonable-minded people. So, yeah, no, don't accept that. It's really, and I seriously would, unless it was not an option, I would avoid that retailer in future. We express ourselves, good and bad, via our buying decisions. So this is an opportunity to let that retailer know that it's not acceptable.
All right. Thank you so much, Wendy Nola. As we prepare to go to our Eyewitness News headlines, Mongezi, please confirm, did our youth of the day write her own bulletin?
I can go on record and say that the youth of the day indeed took initiative, wrote their own bulletin, prepared it, and they also compiled it. So this order in which the stories are was fully done by her, and she's about to read it.
And just to clarify, in the 45 minutes or so, she was diligently working and preparing for this moment.
Correct. She was really quiet. All she asked for was assistance in how to line up her stories. But that aside, smooth sailing. And I can also add that it's factually correct. It's been vetted by our editors to ensure that the stories make sense. So all is good and well.
Thank you so much, Mongezi Gogo. It's 2:30. Time for your latest in Eyewitness News headlines. If you are joining us, we have our Youth Takeover Thursdays on 7:02 afternoons. And in the role of newsreader is Lungile Msipa, who is training with us today. It's 2:30. What's the latest?
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. Floyd Shivambu says he is not resigning as a member of the Umkhonto weSizwe party, despite his ambitions of forming his own political organization. Shivambu held a media briefing in Midrand today where he announced that he will be establishing a committee to look into whether there is a need for a new political party in South Africa. This move comes a few weeks after he was demoted as the MK party's Secretary General to an ordinary member. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana is of the view that political parties should be wholly funded from the national fiscus and not have to accept private donations. Speaking to the Independent Electoral Commission's Political Funding Conference in Durban today, Godongwana said it's unacceptable that some political parties don't submit annual audited financial statement. Godongwana's own political party, the ANC, was among those fined by the Electoral Court last year for falling foul of the law in this regard. And hundreds of supporters are gathered at the Nelson Mandela Square in Sandton to celebrate the World Test Cricket Champions. The Proteas touched down at the OR Tambo International Airport yesterday following a historical win against defending champions Australia in London. It's the first time in 27 years that the senior men's team has won a major ICC trophy. I am Lungile Msipa. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
And time for your latest in traffic. What's happening on our roads?
Well, Relebogile, we've got some issues on the N3 North in the Bedfordview area towards the Kilulis interchange. And if you're traveling on the N12 West, queuing traffic between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange. Out in Midrand, some issues on the N1 North approaching New Road. There's also queuing traffic in the southerly direction of the N1 just as you come out of Allendale Road. If you're traveling in the city of Tshwane at this particular moment, we've got some issues along the N4 West. This is as you come out of the Proof Plus interchange. Please be on the lookout there. An accident has been reported and please try to avoid the scene as much as you can. We'll have more updates for you at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
702 is heading to Freedom Park this Saturday, the 21st of June, and you are invited. Join us for a special broadcast with Gugu Mhlungu and Kenny Maestri as they take in the beauty, the views, and the stories of Freedom Park. It's the perfect family outing ahead of this year's 702 Walk the Talk, happening on Saturday, the 27th of July. To join weekend breakfast with Gugs Mhlungu and 702 Music with Kenny Maestri, email us at contact@702.co.za to reserve your spot. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane.
On your phone,
your computer, or a tablet, you can now browse the aisles, view our product range, and shop your building and DIY needs anywhere at any time. Skip the traffic and get everything online with CashBuild and delivered. As the online store is linked to your nearest CashBuild store, you can also enjoy free local delivery. Visit cashbuild.co.za/shop today. T's and C's apply.
Year in, year out, we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen in my workshop, at least I've got My Way business insurance to keep the wheels turning.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Your workday calls for more capability, more grit, more getting it done. Your weekends demand more freedom, more pushing the boundaries. And the all-new GWMP 300 Bucky is where it all comes together. Ring it on in the all-new GWMP 300 from $6,999 per month. Visit gwm.coza for T's and C's and to book a test drive. Go with more. Go with GWM.
Nedbank Business Ignite on 702 is looking for a small business owner that talks a big game and delivers even bigger results. So if you're a small business that consistently dares to innovate, expand and better your bottom line, you could walk away with 200,000 Rand cash and a 200,000 Rand advertising package. So enter on igniteyourbusiness.co.za. Then every day this week from 6 a.m. catch 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa to find out if you're a finalist in Nedbank Business Ignite on 702. T's and C's apply. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Coming up
on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
702 Drive with John Perlman is coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. Happy Thursday, John. You well?
Yeah, doing well. Thanks. Happy Thursday to you. Good afternoon to all the listeners.
As a journalist, please provide one tip for Lungile Msipa as our newsreader for today. Any gem that you can share?
Well, I wouldn't call it a gem, but I think there's a couple if I can indulge you. If you'll indulge me, I won't be long. So I think the first thing is check everything. Check every single thing. And even when you think you know and you think you know how someone's name is said, that this is in fact what has happened, in as much as you've got time, always check it because that will pay off and it's really well worth it. The second thing is you're not writing a novel, which has taken 1.5 years of your life. You're doing bulletins. So you do one, you do it as well as you can, and things will happen that don't go exactly as you plan. But you just get straight back up, and you say, okay, this is what I did. This is what I wish I did. Now I'm going to do it again. And that's how reputations are built, over consistency. Nobody's going to judge you, even though you're getting a one-off opportunity here. But when you get into the business, you're going to build a reputation and a body of work over a period of time. And you should take comfort in that because you can always fix the next time. And that's crucial. And here I'm going to swim against my colleagues' thing about how you say your name. Just keep it simple. Just say your name. Make your name first, and then you can bring in all kinds of other sorts of flourishes, but get people taking you seriously for the job and the craft. And then after that, have fun, play, do something with your name, whatever it might be. Add a little thing to a bulletin if you like, but nail down the basics, and you'll be away. And good luck.
Those are some awesome tips, John Perlman. And I hope those of you that were hoping it was your opportunity today to be in the seats, that you are listening. We will make sure that all these conversations are podcast so that it's a learning experience for all of us. John Perlman, what's coming up on your show today?
Well, can I tell you, I learn every day.
We really do
we all
in
do.
our jobs, yes.
So I'm hopefully practicing what I've just preached. So obviously the big political story of the day, Floyd Shibambu indicating his political intentions. There's a little bit of uncertainty about some aspects of it, but I think it's fairly clear where he's going. We're trying to get him on the show, and we hope to do that after 5. I'll update people in the course of the show. A really worrying study out of the UK because of the implications it has for us. They predict that 30,000 people will die in that country from air pollution. It's a story I picked up thanks to Mr. Mongezi Koko, who had that on his bulletin. But we have serious air pollution problems here. If you speak to anyone who lives on the N12 or the N4 out in Mpumalanga, they will confirm that for us. So we're going to do a South African equivalent of that. We'll do that at 10 minutes to 4. Story we carried over from yesterday, the public protector looking at corruption in the building of a sports stadium that was never built, despite 22 million rand being spent on it, despite 18 million rand being budgeted for it. By the way, all the officials involved in that all have jobs in local government.
Lovely. Isn't that fun?
Every single one. The list is long. But we'll talk to the public protector about that, and we'll do that at 10 minutes past 4. Crystal Orderson joins us. We're going to talk about rare earth metals in Africa. This is part of a big global conversation. It keeps coming up in the negotiations around Ukraine, and it's very high on the agenda. Africa is absolutely blessed with these minerals, but are we going to derive not just the money, but the wealth and abundance that those kind of minerals should produce? That's at 20 to 6.
All right, that's 702 Drive with John Perlman coming through from 3 to 6 p.m.
702.
Nola knows.
20 minutes to 3 o'clock. We continue with our consumer rights feature, Nola Knows. And we are in drive show mode as Lungile will stay with us for the remainder of the show. So don't be surprised when you hear an extra voice. 011-883-0702, the WhatsApp line 072-7021-702. Let's go to the lines. Julia from Alberton, go ahead. Wendy's listening.
Good afternoon, Relebogile and Wendy.
Hi, Julia.
I just want to find out something. I got a gift voucher for a spa, and that voucher was purchased from an online platform. So it's expiring end of June 2025. So sometime last week, I went to the spa trying to redeem, to get the massage, but they said they're refusing actually. And they are saying the reason is that particular platform is not paying them, the money. Once they have rendered the service and then they submit the voucher to the platform, the platform refuses to pay them. So what recourse do I have in this? How can I deal with this issue? Who should I deal with? Is the platform, the online platform, or the spa? And how can I deal with this issue? Thank you.
Sure, that's a tricky one.
So, Julia, when was the voucher bought? Do you know?
The voucher was purchased in December 2024, but it expires end of June 2025.
So it's only a 6-month voucher.
Yes.
So normally the vouchers have to be prepaid. Vouchers have to be valid for a minimum of 3 years. But when you're buying from these platforms, they sort of the discount platforms, it sort of falls between two stools of there's the discount part that CPA covers, and then there's the there's the prepaid voucher provision. And when this issue first came up years ago, the then Commission of the National Consumer Commission said to me, and I thought it was a fair way through, was that if you didn't use the voucher between the 3 months or the 6 during the 3 months or the 6 months validity, you should be able to go back to the platform that you paid your money to, and they should give you the credit, which you could then use on any other voucher within the 6 months period from the date that you first bought the voucher. Okay, so that applies generally. In this case, you are saying that the platform no longer exists. So, I mean, you go to recourse to the company you pay. It does exist. Oh, okay, but they just not pay.
And
okay.
I've also tried to send emails to say, I've got this situation with the voucher that was purchased on your platform. What should I do? And they are not responding. So I'm not sure who
Yeah, no, I have sympathy with the vendor because you didn't pay your money to them. You paid the money to a third party. So whoever you paid your money to is the responsible party here. And if they're ignoring you, that's very concerning. All I can say is please forward your correspondence with them to me and just a covering paragraph to say, please investigate. That gives me permission. And I'll do my best to get hold of them through some means. And if we can't, then we need to come on a public platform like this one and say, beware, do not buy vouchers from that platform.
Thank you so much, Julia. Stay on the line for our producers to give you Wendy's email. We go to David in Parktown. Hi, David.
Hello, Relebogile and Wendy. Yes, I have problem with Metropolitan, yes. I did take two
Please
covers
just be mindful about mentioning companies' names, else we need to offer right of reply, but go ahead.
Okay, I got two funeral covers. I took it, the one in 2001 and then the one 2002 for my parents. Now, all of a sudden, in last month, I discovered that they said they canceled the policy because I was in the area for 2013, 2016, 2017. And then I said they must send the information. They don't want to send me. I tried to phone them. I went to the office in Joburg. I don't get any help. And then I've been paying all the policies in the same month, on the 5th of every month. I don't know how.
Why did Sorry, David. The reason for them cancelling the policy was what did they say?
They say I'm in areas from 2013. I've been in the area. 2016, I've been in the area. 2017, I don't know how. Just but every month I got money. I pay two policy in the same month.
And did you find this out because you needed to make a claim, or how did you find out that the policy had lapsed?
No, I just discovered just because I couldn't pay. I didn't put money early, and then I tried to put money. When I tried, they give me account for accounts. When I tried to pay that account in accounts, I said I want to pay also the second. They said no, there's no such a policy existing in our screen. And then I went to Fox Trade.
They never told you.
And then, the lady in accounts. And then I phoned. I tried to contact the company. After that, I went to their office, and then they just don't want to help me. That's what they say. They are salesperson. They are not responsible for that. I must go to
and you've been paying. You're still paying every month. That's ridiculous. If the policy is cancelled, why are they taking your premiums?
No, they say they cancel it in January, and then another one is still existing. Mine is still existing. For my parents, it's not existing anymore.
Okay, so they're not taking money from you. Okay, that's really weird. But it's a straight funeral policy, so there's no investment element. It's like a policy on your car. No. If you cancel, you don't get the money back. Or is there an investment element?
No,
normally isn't, especially the old ones. Yeah. So it's not like you just need to make sure that they must now reinstate at the same premiums. That's because, but we need to discuss this off air, David, so I can get all the details. Won't you speak to our producer and get my email address and let me have a look off air, okay?
Thank you so much, David in Parktown. Stay on the line. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we continue with all your consumer-related issues.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
This is Businkosi from Alberton. 702 is a very informative station for me. It sets trends. I pick up a lot, in terms of lifestyle. Saturdays mornings are very good to me. The morning drives to work, morning drives back from work, the midday, the reports, and above all, whatever I miss out on, I can catch up on the podcast.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts,
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
Need the right tools to run your small business? With Nedbank, you get the latest Visa, MasterCard and Amex accepting card payment device delivered to you within 48 hours. Enjoy getting your payments straight into your Nedbank account on the same day. Plus, you could get 100% back on the purchase price of the device. Apply on the Nedbank Money app today. Join the bank that's best for your small business. Nedbank, licensed financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Cash Build has paved a way for everyone dreaming of renovating or building their own home, offering building plans to help you get started. And we've partnered with Capitec to provide home improvement finance options that fit your budget. Visit your nearest Cash Build today and let us help you build the home you've always wanted. Cash Build, quality building materials, tools, paint and hardware at the lowest prices.
Cash Build. Are you looking for the best savings on spectacles? At Specsavers, enjoy 1,500 Rand off when you get tested at South Africa's trusted and most established optical group. Get 1,500 Rand off all frames in store, or use your 1,500 Rand off on our leading lens enhancements, such as drive light lenses that reduce artificial glare whilst driving. Book online or call your nearest store today. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
702.
Nola knows.
11 minutes to 3 o'clock. We're getting close to wrapping up with Wendy Nola 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. So there is a question here that says, can I surrender a homeowner's policy? I have been with the company for over 20 years, but now I want to move to another company.
Oh, absolutely. That's a short-term insurance product. You can switch. You're not locked in. Often people just acquire homeowners insurance, also referred to as property insurance. When they take out a home loan, the bank will offer to them from the insurance division, and they go, yes, fine. But you don't have to go with your bank's insurance arm. You can get a better quote. The only thing is that they will insist that you have it. The bank, if you have a loan with them on your property, they can insist that you have some insurance. They just can't dictate to you where you get it from and who you're paying for it.
All right, we go to the lines and we get the in Johannesburg. You have a retirement annuity issue. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Relebogile. Wendy, I have a retirement annuity. I've been earning what was due to me for the whole year last year until in April. Month-end April, instead of me earning my 1,611, they gave me 600. In May, they also gave me 600, and it's a guaranteed one. So I wrote them an email. They never responded. After 2 weeks, I went to Johannesburg office. The lady went into the system and she checked. She said to me, but I'm surprised because it appears here that it is a guaranteed annuity. She then said to me, she will escalate it and write an email and I should wait for them. It's now 2 weeks. I haven't had anything.
And have you tried to go back to her?
No, they haven't reverted back to me. I haven't had anything from either the office in Johannesburg or their head office, Wendy.
Okay, so often what my job involves is just getting companies to speak to their own companies, which is ridiculous, but that is the reality. So if you want to add your email to the list, just put 702 in the subject line and give me your policy number, your RA number, and any other relevant details, dates, and a summary of what you've just said now, and I'll do my best to get an answer for you. Okay.
I did last week, but I'm going to resend one to you again.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
Thank you,
I miss a lot.
Yes, Wendy Nola's emails
just
are absolutely packed. But put 702 in the subject. Stay on the line for our producers. Nicola from Johannesburg, go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, you guys, Relebogile and Wendy.
Yes.
I actually have a question for Wendy, man, if you guys could help me. I studied with this institution. I got a NQ level 4 in social auxiliary worker. So I applied with UNISA. So that gave me a certificate of NQ level 4. Applied with UNISA. They accepted me. I needed to do the orientation, the week of orientation and everything. And just I got there and I was rejected. I was like, what? No. And, anyway, so I left it and whatever. They said no, that I need an NQ level 5, and I need to redo that social auxiliary work with them. So I'm like, no way, I paid 30K for this. I'm not gonna redo it. Passed with 11 distinctions and everything. So I'm not gonna redo it. Anyway, so I put this on Facebook. And there was actually a few people that studied through the same institution that I studied, also have NQ level 4, and they were accepted. And there was 2 of us that UNISA didn't accept. So I don't know. Do you think we have a case? Like, I mean, not the case, but I mean, is it relevant? Is it like something to fight for?
Wendy?
Okay, you haven't paid UNISA any money at this
No,
point. This is just about acceptance.
Yeah, so just acceptance. Yeah.
So they have a right to accept who they want to and not, I would imagine. But you also have a right to have an explanation, I would say, as to why they're rejecting you. I mean, these institutions want as many students as they can get. You must have access to some sort of criteria, especially if it's if your fellow students from the other other institution, tertiary institution, they were able to, if they were accepted for this further study at UNISA with the same qualification as you, and you say you did really well, distinctions or whatever, it doesn't make sense. So I would push for an explanation, so that at least you're armed with something. The information will then give you some direction of what you do next. But it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me at all, and much less to you. So that's all I can suggest, is push for an answer. What you might want to do is just put my email address, consumer@nola.co.za. Just copy me in. Sometimes that just encourages people to be more forthcoming than they would otherwise.
Yeah, all the best for that, Nicola. Sounds like quite a frustrating situation.
Yeah,
passing you on to our producers, and they can take your details there. Wendy, Nola, we're going to have to leave it there until next week.
In ancient Corinth, as Alexander the Great approached the philosopher Diogenes and offered to grant him any wish, Diogenes simply replied, "Stand a little out of my sun." At Plus 94 Research, we believe in illuminating the path to informed decisions. By removing the shadows of uncertainty, we let the light of data-driven insights shine through. Don't let assumptions cloud your vision. Step into the light of clarity. Plus 94 Research, the science of decision-making.
Need the right tools to run your small business? With Nedbank, you get the latest Visa, MasterCard and Amex accepting card payment device delivered to you within 48 hours. Enjoy getting your payments straight into your Nedbank account on the same day. Plus, you could get 100% back on the purchase price of the device. Apply on the Nedbank Money app today. Join the bank that's best for your small business. Nedbank, licensed financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Relebogile is on X @Relebogilem.
3 minutes to 3 o'clock, and we got the awesome opportunity to host, guide, and mentor Lungile Msipa for the Day in Our Youth Takeover Thursday. And she was in the role of newsreader. How did you feel after the second time doing the bulletin?
Now I was proud of myself.
Yes!
Yes, I was more comfortable and calm.
And what is the biggest lesson that you've learned from today, from all of the conversations and just the entire experience?
I've learned that, first of all, it's not easy, but it's possible. I was obviously taught the difference between an anchor and a reporter. They're on the field and you are anchoring. I've learned, and I was told that I need to believe more in myself.
Yes.
But also I need to really check is this for me?
Yes.
I met Sfiso, who was absolutely incredible, as well as Mongezi, who taught me.
Yes.
Not only did they teach me, they literally showed me how it's done. So I'm really, really grateful for that.
Listen, you had the best of the best absolutely guiding you. So I want to take a moment to read some of the messages. Are you ready?
Yes.
Well said, Sidi. This is from earlier. basically newsreaders or any radio personality should be well versed in current affairs or in geopolitics, etc. Most of the old hacks were extremely on top of their game. A guy like Just Ice, who has been around long, is well versed in most things. Another one says, wow, wow, wow. The young lady did a brilliant job on her first live news reading. Bright future ahead. Rose says, Prime Media, you need to hire Lungile now as a newsreader. One says, girl, you're such a natural. Keep it up. Fire, fire, fire. Emojis. Another one, girl, you are such a natural. Please keep it up. Listening all the way from Klerksdorp. Danisila says, you go, girl. There's a first time for everything. Kind regards. And more of the messages that have been coming through. One says, big ups to you and the team, Relebogile, for bringing Lungile Msipa on your show. She really did well on the Reading the News. Excellent work on the second bulletin. So much love that has come through for you and for us as a team. Thank you for rising up to the challenge, for responding and for coming through. And I really, really hope we're going to hear your name and see it in lights very soon. Are you ready to sign out for us? How would you end your bulletin? For Eyewitness News?
For Eyewitness News, so this is it. Yeah. I am, of course, I'm Lungstam Msipa. I am Lungile Msipa. Lungile Wagwa Msipa.
There we go. She found her voice. It's 3:00.
This is EWN.
Shibambu says he has no intention to leave the MK party, and Eastern Cape observes a day of mourning for almost 100 flood victims. Good afternoon, I'm Monkey Zikoko. Floyd Shibambu says he is not resigning as a member of the Umkhonto weSizwe party despite his ambitions of forming a political organization. Shibambu held a media briefing in Midrand today where he announced that he will be establishing a committee to look into whether there is a need for a new political party in South Africa. This move comes a few weeks after he was demoted as the MK party's Secretary General to an ordinary member. Tabiso Goba was there.
The MK party says Floyd Shibambu's demotion was as a result of his visits to the Church of Malawian fugitive Pastor Shepherd Bushiri. However, Shibambu says he was removed due to a fake intelligence reports that claimed he wanted to overthrow the party's leader Jacob Zuma. Despite his troubles with the MK party, Shibambu says he remains a member.
If Umkhonto weSizwe believes that going to listen to the people violates the constitution, it will tell me that. I will not resign. I said I will never resign from Umkhonto weSizwe. And I still stick by the decision and the communication that I made that it was the best decision ever to join Umkhonto weSizwe.
Shibambu says he's not communicated his decision to look into forming a new political organization with the MK party. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Midrand.
Staying on the political front, Action SA is calling for the suspension of National Prosecuting Authority head Shamila Batoy for the failure to prosecute successfully some high-profile cases. The party is picketing outside the Justice Department in Pretoria today to hand over a memorandum of demands, which includes that Minister Mamoloko Kubai begin the process of removing Batoy. The party has criticized the NPA for its handling of recent matters, including the rape case of Nigerian pastor Timothy Omotosho and the corruption cases of Mwadi Sholota and former ANC MP Zizi Kodwa. Jabuli Lembata has the story.
Action SA supporters are gathered outside the Justice Department head offices in Pretoria to hear party leader Herman Mashaba express his dissatisfaction with the performance of the NPA. He says this is because the institution is led by Advocate Shamila Batoy, who he says is incompetent and has caused dysfunction in the organization. The Justice Minister Mamoloko Kubai was however not available to receive the party's memorandum. Mashaba says Batoy's incompetence can't be justified.
It's a kind of an excuse. It's nonsense. It's unacceptable. She must not really treat us as South Africans like we're fools.
They gave the Justice Department 7 days to respond. Jabuli Limbata, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
Let's turn to this now. A memorial service is underway for 92 people killed during this month's floods in the Eastern Cape. Heavy rains saw localized flooding, damage to infrastructure and the displacement of over 4,000 people. Since then, a long list of officials visited the area, including President Cyril Ramaphosa and members of his cabinet, who have vowed to speed up rehousing efforts and assistance. Some of the speakers attending today's memorial have called for a consolidated effort by government to mitigate impact. Ndogozo Kumalo has more.
Today marks the Eastern Cape's Provincial Day of Mourning, where the lives of the victims of the recent floods are being honoured. 92 people died in the province during the torrential rainfall, with more than 4,000 people displaced. Deputy Mayor Thandekile Sabisa is among the dignitaries present at the memorial service. He says the province stands in solidarity with all the families.
The floods that visited i-OR Tambo, zithe zakubungela imizi yabantu.
The floods have destroyed the homes of people. They've destroyed living things. The most painful thing is that these floods claimed the lives of our loved ones. This incident has hit us very hard as the people in OR Tambo.
As commemoration continues, search and rescue efforts are still underway. Ndogozo Kumalo, Eyewitness News.
In the Western Cape, a pensioner who was forcibly removed from his District 6 home during apartheid now faces being evicted from the area for a second time. The 73-year-old joined about 60 others who illegally occupied a Darling Street building renamed Irene Grootboom House outside the Western Cape High Court today to challenge being evicted from the site. Carlo Peterson is there.
An Irene Grootboom House occupant, Barrymore Jossie, says being served an eviction notice to vacate the Darling Street property feels like apartheid all over again. Jossie and about 60 other illegal occupants living in the 3-story building were handed eviction notices earlier this month. Jossie recalls his experience in 1972.
I couldn't understand. When I asked my grandmother why, she said the white man wants us out. Bottom line. They don't want us. They want to get rid of anybody that's not of a proper color.
The 73-year-old has called on the government not to behave in a similar way.
That was in the past. If there is a Ubuntu in this country, then why don't the government show it to us? If we all want, then give us a fair share.
Housing activists Ndifuna Ukwazi are opposing the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure's application for the eviction of the occupants from the site. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Western Cape High Court.
And in the U.S., its National Hurricane Center says Hurricane Eric has strengthened into an extremely dangerous Category 4 storm. The disaster is meant to make landfall in Mexico today after prompting flash floods, school closings and evacuations in Osaka and Guerrero. More than 2,000 temporary shelters have been set up across the two areas to house residents. Eric is the 5th named storm to form in the eastern Pacific Ocean this year alone. Gold is trading at $3,372.07 an ounce. The rand is at 18.11 to the dollar, 24.34 to the pound, 20.79 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $77.80 a barrel.
In your sport, Eben Etzebeth insists that his injury problems are now a thing of the past. James O'Connor left out of Joe Schmidt's pre-Lions Wallabies squad. And Mykhailo Mudryk could face 4-year ban after the FA charge him over failed drug test.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg is at a low of 9 degrees, peaking at a high of 20. Pretoria is also at 9 and 23. Vereniging starts at 8 and peaks at 20. Now, the top story in EWN this hour, Floyd Shibambu says he is not resigning as a member of the Umkhonto we Sizwe party, despite his ambitions of forming a political organization.